What's going on, everyone? Finally unmentioned, Wiz Khalifa has been mentioned in relation to sliding off. Additionally, I don't believe he was discussing his own career when he said this. But generally speaking, when people begin to use this phrase, it falls off rappers, entertainers, and now streamers, among others. I'll play the video for y'all first. Then we'll discuss Wiz Khalifa in general, before looking at a few more instances that, in my opinion, corroborate his discussing.
It really grinds my gears when people be like, this person fell off, that person fell off. Man, you fell off. You fell off of the information that this person is still cracking in their world. They're just not in your world anymore. Just because you moved on doesn't mean this person moved on from their life. They can't move on from their life. It's not possible. It's their life. You just don't pay attention to it anymore. They're not doing things to grab your attention anymore. They're gravitating towards people who they care about and that really, really admire and appreciate their attention and ain't gonna move on in the next 5 or 10 freaking years. You temporary. You fell off.
All right, so let's get started. I believe there are 3 stages to this. When it comes to what Wiz Khalifa is discussing, there are those who say, "Who'll explain this in a moment. Oh, this person is popping, and then this person fell off." You have the who. And each level is similar to this, or at least level 2 is, oh, this person's popping. And level 3 is the fall off. Who is for those who are either unknown and haven't gained much recognition, or who have gained notoriety outside of their target audience. For instance, when MGK initially switched out and released Mainstream Sellout in 2020, one of the best albums of that year, incidentally, that is a who, or not so much a who. No, it's not a mainstream sellout. Tickets to My Demise. Whoa, no, the sellout in the mainstream was poor. His performance in the rap game was lacking. Additionally, his overall commercial performance was lacking. Additionally, Rap Devil had already dropped the disc that was directed against Eminem, and they say things like, "Oh, Eminem ran him out of the rap game before Rap Devil." He wasn't doing too hot commercially, but he switched up, and he blew up like crazy. Yo, who the hell is listening to this guy? People ask, is anyone listening? He was also performing insane shows. Both the hip-hop and rock communities kind of loathed him or were like, yo, what's going on? Which made things strange. However, his performances were well attended. In its first week, his album sold over 100,000 copies. There were several hits on him. What's the name of the song he released with her? He had in the song video Fox Megan. At the time, he was seeing her. To put it another way, they were somewhat divisive. That's what I'll say. His relationship, but he was experiencing the greatest professional success of his life. Hey, who's listening to this guy? People asked. You're simply not listening to him, or you're not among those who are aware of his situation. Like K-pop. At least in the US, K-pop has been popular for about 10 years. Additionally, there are sizable fan bases that have been enthusiastically supporting it for a very long time. Additionally, I didn't really know at the moment. Most of us were like, what the hell is that? Even though BTS was still killing it in 2016 and 2017, as opposed to now, when everyone is aware of their identity and fan following, that's one instance. Naturally, a Russ would be another example. He sort of entered now, hip-hop for a short while, and he was severely despised. For 2 unjustifiable years, he was, in my opinion, the most despised rapper. To be the most despised is extremely cruel, even while you could argue that someone deserved criticism or pushback for something. They said that many at the time believed was insensitive. He's still now, and you're still yo who's even listening to this guy, is a common comment on hip-hop pages anytime they include him. That, then, is in the who category. The poppin' in blue category is next. And occasionally, there are a lot of exaggerated folks in this category. For instance, when Net Spend comes on, or when, for example, the autumn and summer seasons arrived as planned, and you got Sofago and these men instead of Yeet, who did not meet or exceed expectations. However, these individuals are popping and blowing up. People are gassing them up as though more people are aware of them than there are in reality. Furthermore, for the majority of these behaviors have plateaued, but they haven't stopped, at least not in the last 5 to 6 years. They were never going to bridge the gap or become well known, but their fan following still scuffles with them. For example, Ken Carson is currently doing so or has been able to do so in the past. Naturally, that's thanks in part to Playboi Carti's assistance. Additionally, a number of people make their debuts during this era. For instance, Rocky said, "Oh, this guy is blowing up." And he actually did make it into the mainstream when he made his debut. The same is true of Wiz Khalifa. Furthermore, we will discuss soon Wiz Khalifa. Subsequently, there's the quote "fell off," which refers to the fact that some persons are one-hit wonders and subsequently fall off. For instance, Fetty, yes, he did lose his appeal since he was not releasing as much music. Even his core fan base was not responding to his music. He sacrificed a great deal of chances. He was not receiving as many or as large bookings as he had previously. Thus, that person truly experienced ups and downs. Furthermore, there are, of course, one-hit wonders in your ranks. They come and go like that. With a Wiz Khalifa, however, since you can't keep becoming popular, I believe there is a category for people who have transcended. I think Wiz Khalifa is an example of that, especially after seeing you again. There comes a moment where you're as popular as you can be, and it's only going to get worse from here, and you can't get much more popping. Well-known songs throughout history for a while. It was the most viewed song and one of the biggest songs ever, but I believe Despacito has now surpassed it in popularity. Perhaps Gangnam Style, although I'm not sure. However, I am aware that Baby Shark is the best. It's like twice as good as the song that came in second or twice as good as all the other songs. I believe it has YouTube has 16 billion views. He still raps and performs music, but with Wiz Khalifa, he underwent a slight change in his life. He had children and a family, started working out, and started fighting. However, Wiz Khalifa continues to be booked for major performances, particularly abroad. Wiz Khalifa is just solidified. Wiz Khalifa is just solidified. That's it. He is merely present. Furthermore, I believe it is unrealistic to expect Wiz Khalifa to still be competing musically in year 14 in the same manner as when he first started. This is not to imply that he isn't producing music of the same caliber. However, I believe that artists do improve with age, but they aren't given as many opportunities to listen to their music as they were when there was a novelty factor, which is what happened when Wiz Khalifa first came on. However, that is a different topic for another time. Additionally, we must emphasize that Wiz Khalifa had the good fortune to become well known during a period when there was less competition for people's pay attention. For instance, I am a rapper who is currently quite popular and is in competition with many other rappers. They are in competition with streamers, content producers, and TikTok. Therefore, a person can only divide up their attention so much. And to remain at the two, get people to listen and pay attention, you need to be a part-time rapper, part-time musician, and part-time attention getter outside of the music industry. However, I witnessed Wiz Khalifa play last year, and he was incredible. He was in excellent physical condition. He was one of the show's main attractions and handled it with extreme professionalism. It was an enormous celebration. Therefore, I find it absurd that Wiz Khalifa fell off. Does his music sound as good now as it did in the past? Not at all. But Snoop Dogg isn't either, is he? Can we claim, for example, that Snoop Dogg slid off? This is Snoop Dogg's most recognizable rapper ever. Perhaps correct? Globally, I would say. The most well-known rapper in history. He is as well-known now as he was 30 years ago, if not more so. In addition, he releases songs. It's hardly heard at all. Numbers like that aren't really what it does. Will we claim that Snoop Dogg lost his mind? One may argue that Snoop Dogg hasn't released a successful song in 15 years, or that the quality of his music hasn't improved. However, I don't think it's quite accurate to state that he fell off. Another illustration of this is the fact that Wiz Khalifa continues to release music. It continues to perform nicely. Simply said, mainstream individuals are not taking notice. And the fact that it isn't being promoted to them by any record label, particularly if someone decides to go independent, is one of the reasons people aren't paying attention. Someone falls off if they are popping and ignited and start acting on their own.
The map.
And the only reason for this is that they aren't receiving enough marketing funding. For instance, there was a southern rapper named Big in the early 2010s, 2011, and 2012. His album was titled Cadillactica. He was the talk of the town, but I can't recall what label he was wearing at the time. Yo, Big Crit, this is going to be the next one, everyone says. That one will be him. Big Crit is losing his mind. And he was losing his mind. He was releasing some amazing music. Big Crit eventually becomes self-sufficient. And following that, many since then, nobody even knows what he dropped. He simply had to decide to put more money in his pocket after releasing some fantastic albums and ventures. He continues to do well. He is still employed. He still has admirers. He simply will not be AB, because most of the people he would be competing against have large label budgets that are investing in marketing to keep them at the forefront of the discourse. He would be a part of the mainstream conversation or the conversation around rap. The same is true for products, isn't it? For example, if someone believes that some phones aren't considered dumb phones, rather several programs and other features are removed from a recently released phone. Additionally, a phone company or app won't be able to compete with Samsung and Apple. The majority aren't even aware of it. It's a niche product because they don't have the same marketing budget as Samsung, Apple, or even LG if you want to include that. Because some musicians leave the record label, falling down might also mean becoming richer. Since they can now keep a larger portion of the pie, they are earning more money, even though they are not receiving as much attention. For most rappers, trying to stay relevant is a losing game, particularly if their music isn't doing well. But he has a catalog with Wiz Khalifa. He can always return with another hit, and the music is really good. However, please share your thoughts in the comments section. Who is someone you would say definitely did not fall off and simply transcended, even though some claim they did? For example, Wiz Khalifa is in that boat, in my opinion. Lil Wayne is in that boat, in my opinion. Whether they liked it or not, Lil Wayne is still talked about when he releases, even in terms of his business. Therefore, I wouldn't even say that Wayne has transcended yet, because even though Wiz Khalifa does drop, it's still a moment that everyone talks about. However, please inform me in the remarks. If you liked it, please hit the notification bell, like, and subscribe. I'll see you at the next one too.